Chappies. Do you like mechs? Well, this project might interest you. It's up on Kickstarter right now and it's called Mecha 1945. And it is a mech game for 2 to 6 players. Now, you can click on this little Kickstarter logo at the top here to go directly to the project and see how it's doing. But I warn you, it finishes on the 5th of November 2015, so you'll have to be quick. Okay, the game is a combat game where each player controls something like this, a mech. And it's an alternative universe. It's 1945, so the Second World War has not been won. And there'll be a load of scenarios and campaigns that you can do, from death matches, capture the flags, escort missions, and you'll be using your little bot to go around and blow up other people with your deck of cards. Your deck of cards is programming in the movement of your mech, but also your deck of cards is the life points of your mech. You know what mech is in French? It's guy. If only everyone had a mech. Anyway, let me show you how the game plays, and I'll tell you what I think about it. Warning! This is a prototype. None of this is going to be like the final product, okay? This is a very early prototype, and as you can see, there's some writing on the board there due to playtesting and corrections. These will probably be a lot better as well. Okay, but this is a prototype. Let's talk about the game and how it plays. As you can see, there are 6 mechs here. So each player will have these player boards, and they will have a deck of cards, and they will have a mech like so. Okay? There are 3 different types of mech. They're the heavy mechs, the Germans and the Americans. Okay? Their deck is made up of 18 cards, so that's their life points. That's how strong they are, and whenever they get damaged, they lose a card depending on the amount of damage that they take. Okay? And these cards dictate the movement, where they're going to go. They dictate if they're going to put a shield up, and they also dictate if they're going to attack, how much damage they're going to do. Maybe should hold it better in the light there. Okay. Their player boards dictate how the round goes. So like here, you'd have to do a movement card before you can rotate, and then you have the possibility to put a shield up or fire, but if you fire with a heavy mech, you will lose that card, and then you can fire again there and you don't lose that card. So the heavy mechs are very, very slow at movement because they only have 1 movement card that they play on their turn, and most of the movement cards are not that great. Okay, but they have extreme firepower and they can do a lot of damage. Then you have the Chinese and the Italians. These are medium class mechs. Okay, mechs. Yeah, mechs. And then you'll have a deck of about 15 cards. Again, there'll be shield cards, there'll be movement cards, and there will be attack cards. And these will do like long distance here, but not so much damage. Again, with the medium class boards, you'll have your movement obligatory. You can rotate, but you can rotate a bit more. You can rotate 2 hexagonal angles with that. I'll show you later. You can play, again, a shield card. You can fire and do an additional movement, but you're going to need diesel for that, and it'll overheat, so you'll have to throw that card away. And then you can fire. So a little bit like the heavy mechs, but a bit more movement, and again the possibility to shoot or move more or put your shields up as well. And then we have the light mechs from Japan and France. Smaller decks, 13 cards, movement cards, but as you can see, they can move more. There's less attacks, but they can do some very deadly attacks, like this one here. If you're on the same space as another mech, you wipe them out basically. Their player boards, again the same. You do a movement card. You can rotate 180 degrees with a 3 turn. You can do an extra movement with diesel, and you can put a shield if you want to in the second card, and then the third card, the shooting card, so you don't lose your second card here. So they have benefits and they have disadvantages. Here is a basic map layout, okay? not all your maps will be the same. Okay, this is a modular board, so as you can see, they're all different shapes and sizes, and so you can arrange them in any way that you want. For the purposes of this demo, I'll show you the hexagon here, which is good for death matches and things like that. Okay, the game will also come with these blocks. Again, they probably won't look like this, they'll probably be nicer, and these represent skyscrapers and buildings around the city. Okay, now these can be destroyed, which is a nice thing. So what will happen is maybe someone launches a rocket and it will blow off the top part of that building. Again, these buildings can be climbed on by the lighter mechs, which is nice as well. You'll also have some rubble, because what will happen is eventually mechs are going to get destroyed, and what will happen is that will be rubbish blocking that square, or it might be rubbish for a mech to jump on, give them a bit of a height advantage so they can attack. Don't worry, there's no player elimination. Yeah, this might be the rubble of some mech, but what will happen is the mechs respawn. So how does the game play? Okay, once you've set up your scenario and you've chosen your mechs that you're going to play with, you're ready to play. You get your deck of cards, you get your player board, and you're planning, you're programming. You go through your deck of cards, you look, you prepare what kind of actions you're going to do. Okay, the only one that's obligatory is the movement card, the first card. So every player will then put down a card on their movement space, and then if they wish to, play one on their shield or their firing space, or both, depending on what they want to do. So once players have placed their cards, they're ready to play. Everyone reveals their first movement card at the same time, and this is an action which takes place simultaneously. Everybody moves their robot. So in the case of the Italians here, they do an advance to the left. Okay, so what you do is you line it up with your droid. It's not a droid, but you line it up with your mech and you move it, and the way it's facing is very important. As you can see, the triangle there represents the direction that it's facing, and then at the end of the turn, the way that it's facing is still the same way. We can see that the Germans have moved 2 forward straight, like that, 1, 2, and the French, they've decided to do a right 2, so they go 1, 2, like so. Once that's done, players can then go into the rotation phase, which is marked on the board here. The Italians, they can rotate an angle of 2, so in this case, this guy is going to rotate 1, like so. The Germans, they're going to rotate as well 1, because their maximum is 1, and the French, they can rotate a maximum of 3, and they're not going to do anything. Then you reveal all the second and third cards, and then you play them in player order, starting with the first player. So let's say the Italians were the first player here. They would get to do this action. This movement is to move forward 1, and to do this movement they have to use diesel, and that's what this little symbol up here means. It's a diesel movement. Okay, so they move forward 1, and then this card goes in their discard pile because it's overheated. The Germans, they do not do a shield or a fire, but they do a fire here. So the Germans are going to fire, and as you can see, the arc of fire is there. Nobody gets any damage whatsoever. No buildings are destroyed. There's a little symbol which does say that if you fire and it touches a building, the building can be destroyed. And then we finish up with the French. The French decide that they're going to move to the left, which was very stupid of me, but anyhow. But that's a turn. Everyone recuperates their cards, apart from any which have been discarded due to the fact that they burnt them out. And then play continues. Every player will then choose a card, movement card, and a shield card, and a fire card, or any other kind of card that they want for their second action, and we keep going. So how does combat work? Well, it's a simple case of looking at your card. So in this case, this French player has played this shoot card, which does 5 damage to the space in front of it, and 8 damage if it's in the same space. Okay, as you can see, the Italian player has been missed, so he doesn't take any damage. But if the Italian player was there, as you can see, if you do that, that player would take 5 damage. What does that mean? Well, the Italian player would fan out their cards like that, and the French player would remove 5 cards from their hand at random. Woohoo! Groovy! Now, if any of those cards have a critical symbol, none of these cards have a critical symbol. Let's get one. There's one. This critical symbol means that the French player can take another card from that player's hand. And if he pulls another one, then he can pull another card. Meaning that he's done lots of damage to that mech. Now, and obviously, if the 2 mechs were in the same space, he would take 8 damage. The other thing here is it has this recall as well. So whenever it takes damage, like this one, it took damage, it would then be pushed forward. Sometimes you can push them into buildings, which would cause more damage. Now, as you can see, this card, when it's in the same space away, you can destroy a building. So in this case, this would be knocked back into that space. If there was a mech there, they would take damage as well. And the good thing about having 1 level high buildings is that small mechs can walk on top of them and then fire and get a bonus as well when they attack. Another form of attack is bombs. You can throw bombs and leave them on the board for unsuspecting people to walk on, like so. And if they do, boom! There's also cards which let you pick up bombs if they happen to be in the same space as you when they are laid, which is a nice bonus. Let's talk shields now. Okay, if the German player was to attack with this card, which does some devastating power, as if you turn it like that, it would do 5 damage to the Italians there. But the Italian had this shield card played, so if we turn it so it faces the same angle as the mech itself, you would see that you got these shields. It's the left and right hand side are shielded, but the front and the back are not shielded, but the back can do some damage. So what would happen in that case is the shield would absorb all the damage, and this card will be discarded. If it was facing the other way, obviously it would take the full brunt of the 5 card damage. And if it was facing that way, again it would take the 5 card damage from the Germans, but it would also give 3 card damage, and this card doesn't get thrown away. So the shields, once they've been used, they do get binned. There are some shield cards like this one, which is a one-time use. Now, if you manage to destroy someone else's mech, you get victory points depending on the scenario. It might be 1, it might be 2 points. And then the game keeps going until a player has reached a certain limit of victory points, or they've reached an objective. Now, if you are eliminated, don't worry, you just miss your next turn, and then you respawn back in your base with all your cards. Now, that's just a basic overview of the game. There is more advanced rules and more advanced powers. Let me show you. As you can see from this player raid, there's quite a lot of different powers, but you haven't seen a lot of those because they're not on the base game cards. Some of those powers are on these upgrade cards. Yes, you have this big deck of upgrade cards, and these are used at the beginning of the game. You add them to your deck. So, for example, a light vehicle, like this one, would add 1 upgrade card to your deck. Okay, and you get to choose that. Whereas a heavy one would have 5 upgrades that you can add to your deck. Okay, and then you just basically go through them and pick the ones that you want. As you can see, some of them do some really devastating firepowers. There's a sniper, which gives you a bit of range. There's one which lets you do damage behind, more bombs. This one lets you repair and draw 3 cards. These do damage. You can get infinite damage there. There's ones that let you take cards from other players, more repair cards, very dangerous cards which kill people instantly if you're on the same space as them. There's nets, there's traps, and other things like that one does a nuclear missile attack. Okay, and as I said, you add these at the beginning of the game to your deck to create a different version of your mech. That's Mecha 1945. It's a relatively light and easy to learn game, which is kind of similar to Hero Quest, but you're using cards to program the movement of each of your bots, where you only have one bot, unlike in Hero Quest you have minions everywhere. The scenarios, again, very Hero Questy. You can choose different types of things. You can capture your flag, or you can do an escort mission, or set up a zone where like that in the middle, and you got to keep dominance there. It's quick playing, not so good with 2 players, better with 3 or more. You may be asking, are there miniatures with this game? Unfortunately, to keep the price down, it's going to be standees, much like this. But you can, if you have a 3D printer, contact Laurent Legroup, who is the designer of the game. He has designed some 3D sculpts that you can download and print out on your 3D printer if you have one. Okay, that's pretty much it. It's got plenty of possibilities with the different types of cards, the different mechs. Again, constructing your own mech with the upgrade deck. The different weapons, you've got the nets, you've got the bombs, you've got firing, you've got swords, and that's it. Well, terrain, what else could you want? As I said, this is a Kickstarter, so if this game interests you, click on the link at the top, click on the Kickstarter logo, go there and help finance it. It's only on Kickstarter till the 5th of November 2015, so you need to be quick about it. And hopefully we'll see more of this game in the future. Or the past.